Mr. Fantastic and I are thinking about the same question. And it's a question that's bothered me ever since Battlegrounds was first introduced. And that question is it better to pick first or pick second in a Battlegrounds match? So first, let's just quickly recap how drafting and placement works in Battlegrounds. So when a match is made, the server is going to randomly choose who is going to draft first. Either you, in this video, I'm going to be using the terminology player one to refer to you or to the player being analyzed, and opponent to, well, the opponent. So the server is going to make this selection, and I have this question mark beside the word randomly because, well, is it really random? We'll touch on that briefly. But for now, we'll say that it is random. So once that selection is made of who's going to draft first, let's take a look at how a draft would proceed. So in this case, player one is drafting first, and they make just one selection, and then it alternates from there. Each player is taking two champs from their roster until the final round, where the opponent gets the opportunity to now pick the last champ for their roster. And now let's see how placement works. So very similar that if player one was drafting first, then player one also places first in round one. So they're going to place their defender, the opponent places their defender, and then player one chooses their attacker, and finally the opponent chooses their attacker. And in subsequent rounds, it's just going to alternate from there. So round two, opponent gets to place their defender first, and it alternates. And then finally you have round three, where it goes back to player one, in this case, placing their defender first. Battlegrounds drafting and placement has worked this way since the mode was first launched. And I think since the mode was first launched, most people came to the conclusion, or at least early on, people came to the conclusion that it's better to pick second because, well, you're having more opportunities both in drafting and in placement to make your choices with some knowledge of what your opponent has already done, right? So you can kind of react to what they've done and potentially make a smarter play based on that knowledge. And so I've watched YouTubers stream Battlegrounds matches ever since the mode was first launched, and many of them voiced this same, I think, conclusion that, oh, I really want to be the one to pick second. But more recently, when this question comes up, the people at the top seem to have discarded this question. They say, well, you know what? It doesn't really matter. This is at least, I guess, the majority opinion, or at least what I believe most players at the top now believe about the mode. But is this actually based on fact, or is this just some folk wisdom that's come up and now people just repeat it? So that's what I wanted to find out in this video, is to do some real analysis and come to at least some conclusion about what is actually better. In order to try and answer these questions, I looked at almost 200 matches from 5 top players. I think if you're interested in Battlegrounds, which you probably are if you're watching this video, you're going to very readily recognize these names. These are all players who are regularly finishing in the celestial tiers of Battlegrounds, right? So we have Andrew the Rough, we have Barrowman, we have KT1, we have Nick136, and we have Trappy. And I'm looking at roughly 40 matches per player. In order to try and minimize the variables at play, I looked at all matches from this most recent Gladiator Circuit season, weeks 3 and 4 of the most recent Gladiator Circuit. And one quick side note, I'm not going to get into the exact win rate per player. It actually doesn't vary that much from player to player, but overall, in aggregate, it's only a 56% win rate that these players at the top are actually seeing, right? So if you ever get down on yourself in Battlegrounds, you feel like you're just win one, lose one. Well, you know, it's not much more than 50% of the time that these top players are winning their matches. I mentioned this question about whether the first pick in the draft, if that decision is actually being made truly randomly by the server. You can see in aggregate, again, across all these matches that we looked at, it's close enough to 50-50, I guess. You know, 55% of the time, player one is picking first versus the opponent. But if you look at how that's actually distributed across these 5 players, there's actually quite a bit of variance. So Andrew the Rough and Barrowman, they're actually picking first over 65% of the time. And then on the flip side, Trappy's only picking first 40% of the time. So I don't think this is news or will be shocking to most people. I think most people have seen that, you know what, depending on, I don't know exactly what the factors are, but it does seem like different people have widely varying percentages as far as how often they're picking first. So, should Andrew and Barrow feel slighted because they're actually picking first such a high percentage of the time? Well, we're going to find out shortly. So enough build up, let's see what the data is actually telling us. So across these 200 matches that I recorded, when player one picks first, we see that the player one has about a 58.5% win rate. When the opponent picks first, player one has a win rate of only 53.4%. So this is quite the surprising, at least to me, result. It's not even just that it's about even. It's that if there is an advantage to be observed, it's actually player one picking first having the advantage by about 5 percentage points. And it's not like this is, just one or two players throwing off the percentages. This is actually, 3 out of 5 players who were analyzed showed this strong bias towards winning more often when they pick first. For a fourth player, it was about even, and then for a fifth player, they actually bucked the trend, and that fifth player did actually win more often when picking second by about 4 percentage points. Yeah, for 3 out of 5, it was a sizable advantage, and for a fourth, it was about even. So again, quite the surprising result, not one that I expected. So what can we conclude based on this information that I've shared with you? And the unfortunate truth is that I cannot make a definitive statement about picking first being better or being more advantageous. Even with 200 matches having been analyzed, the margin of error on that data is still too big to be able to make that kind of conclusion. But I can say that it is the most likely result. And key thing to say is that the most likely result for this segment of the population, for this celestial group of players, right? If you were to look at players who are a little bit lower on the Battlegrounds pecking order, like me, right? People who are playing in Mysterium, Quantum Arcane, etc., or people who are playing primarily in the Victory track, the data for that segment of the population may very well be quite different. But I think it's still interesting for all of us to know that for the people at the very top, the most likely result is that picking first is giving you some small but real advantage. What are some reasons why we might see this result for Celestial players? Unfortunately, I don't have any really convincing arguments, or any arguments that at least convinced me. A couple ideas that came to mind that I'll just share really quickly. One is that it's possible that there's some kind of psychological first mover advantage that comes with picking first and placing first. I think most of us who have played this game mode a fair amount have had more than a few matches where you felt like, you know what, I'm getting away from my own strategy. I am reacting too much to what my opponent is doing rather than really just picking the champs that I'm most comfortable with, right? Or going with the strategy that has done best for me. Now, we are talking about Celestial players, so these are the people who are the most savvy, right? Who have the most experience, and it's unlikely that that's going to be a dominant factor for them, that they're getting fooled into playing their opponent's strategy when they pick second. This is something worth mentioning, worth thinking about. The other idea that came to mind is that, and unfortunately it's a little bit of a hand-wavy theory, right? But, in a 3-round match, maybe that second round is so pivotal, so important, that that's the time when you want to have that advantage of picking second. Because either it's a round in which you need to win in order to force a third round, and so that's where you want to make the highest quality decision, or at the very least, it's the round where you're both, I guess, trying to win, obviously, but also preparing yourself for round 3. And sometimes just by process of elimination, the choices that are made in round 2 dictate what's going to happen in round 3. It's possible. Again, it's a little bit hand-wavy of a theory. I'm not even sure how I would go about analyzing this more to see how true it is, right? But so interesting points to keep in mind as Battleground starts back up this coming Wednesday, right? So, if you're someone like me who did believe that there probably was some at least small advantage to be gained by picking second, well, it's something to make you think a bit, right? At the very least, maybe you come into your matches with more of a positive mindset, right? If you end up picking first, you're not going to, immediately be putting yourself into a defeatist mindset from the get-go. You might also just kind of think about your strategy when you pick first versus when you pick second, and is there something I missed here? Maybe there is some different way that you think about the way that the match progresses, which can be to your advantage if you're picking first. Yeah, so let me know if you have any of your own thoughts about maybe questions on my methodology for this analysis, or maybe you have your own opinions about what might be going on here to cause the result that I've observed. Please do let me know in the comments. If you found this interesting, please do take the opportunity to put a like on the video. Please do share it with your friends. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. We really would appreciate that. All right. Good luck in Battlegrounds for this coming season, and have a good day.